Welcome to the Fall Turf Festival at Gulfstream Park West. I'm Ron Nicoletti along with Katie Stazak. Good afternoon, everyone. Another sultry day here in South Florida. We got a fast main track, firm turf course. And Katie, we got a carryover today in the Rainbow Six with a 10-race card. Starts in race number 5. And you see it over $3,600 in there. The Rainbow Six, as I mentioned once again, starts in race number 5. Only that 20-cent wager. And it's been a lot of fun here thus far watching the rolling high fives throughout the day, super high fives. Getting hit, not being hit, it's been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun, and you really got to keep thinking to follow this thing because it really gets bet, and it can be hit in any race. But if it's not, it continues to roll over, and it can continue to roll over into the next day. It was hit at the end of the day yesterday, so we'll start anew. But it could be hit several times throughout the day.
Yeah, several times throughout the day. And like I say, one of these times it's going to go for a while, and the carryover is going to get really, really large. So always good to pay attention. Lots of fun. And we're going to start today, before we start today, and look at Friday's card. We're going to see what's tweeting around the country. And the first one we're going to look at is Speechify. Someone helped out Speechify. Had a little trouble in that race last time out. It was pretty scary.
If you saw and watched Speechify's race on Saturday at Keeneland, he had a pretty scary fall. He actually fell over a horse that had fallen. No one knew whether he was okay because you couldn't see it on the screen, but he actually got up and ran off. There's a really cool story. A freelance photographer happened to be there at the track, saw Speechify galloping riderless down the track. He calmed down. His reins had fallen over his head, so she was able to grab the reins. He jogged over to her, and she kind of helped him. She saved him, and made sure he didn't run off and do any further damage to himself, get scared or do anything, and handed him off to the outrider. Amazingly, he came out of that incident with just a scratch on his knee.
Yeah, it's very lucky. The other horse didn't fare so well in that race. Second tweet we want to talk about is Normandy Invasion. And Normandy Invasion retiring.
He is retiring. You remember Normandy Invasion at Gulfstream last year? Set a record. He was just tremendous. Unfortunately, he is retiring. We'll miss him. He will miss Gulfstream, that's for sure.
And we have the list of the greatest horses in the country right now, and our horse, the American horse, is still on top. Of course, talking about American Pharaoh, you see the list right there.
Yeah, we just have the most recent world's best racehorse rankings put forth by Longines, and here you see American Pharaoh, Triple Crown winner, despite his Travers loss and despite Golden Horn's recent win in the Arc de Triomphe overseas, is still the top-ranked horse in the world. Triple Crown win might do that for you.
Yeah, and Treve in their third horse I really, really like. I think it's a great horse. So 2 Europeans being bested by American Pharaoh so far, and we'll see what happens. It's going to all come to a head at the Breeders' Cup and at the end of the month. And once again, I always want to remind you, you can go over to our beautiful facility, Gulfstream Park. They're going to have big parties over there and everything. And if you happen to be here for live racing, you can actually watch and wager on all the Breeders' Cup races. That's down the road. Now we'll get to the Friday card. As I mentioned, fast main track, firm turf course. Our first race this afternoon, 7 furlongs, claimers, fillies and mares, 3 and up, $10,000. A scratch near of number 2. Faith Hall. Katie, I went with the number 6 in here. I'll kick it off. Fair shake. I'll tell you why. This one went to the Alejandro Memo barn via the claim. Turns back to 7 furlongs on the main track. Went up, set the pace, and weakened late to finish third behind a repeat winner called Starship Jody on the turf. It's a daughter of Milwaukee Brew. And a lot of times people, when they see horses that show speed going long on the grass, turn them back to 7/8. They think the horse might be on the lead. This is my favorite angle, going from turf to dirt. I think this horse is going to sit a nice stalking trip behind the seat. So number 6, Fair Shake, 10-1 on the morning line, up there at 9-1. That's who I'm going with in the first. But, Katie, you got the logical horse in there. I think one of the logical horses in there, and that's the 4 My House, who I have in second.
I was just about to say, that is your absolute favorite angle, Ron, with the 6, Fair Shake. Stamp on that Nicoletti selection there. I had to go with the 4, My House. This one making a trainer change for the 5th consecutive start. She's a very popular race mare at this level, but this time she's rejoining familiar faces. She's being claimed back by Sandino Hernandez Jr. and Amati Racing stable. Dueled to the wire in her last start, was just outfinished by a half length when going a mile on September 13th. Cuts back today, and that cut back, that 1 less eighth of a mile, should definitely definitely work in her favor. She's going to look to go wire to wire.
You know, I had the Faith Hall, the horse that scratched on the bottom of my ticket, so I added number 3, Corinthian Glory, and I'm looking very early in the wagering up there, 3-5. This one now in the Giuseppe Sidernia bond steps up after posting its second consecutive victory. Really walloped the field of $6,250 condition claimers. Won that race by 5 lengths that day, but stepping up. But this barn is pretty sharp when they first in their barn. So we'll see how this horse runs today. And up there right now, very early, 3-5. Who else did you use?
This is a pretty competitive race. I used the 8 Dakota Eyes. I'd love if I could get 11-1 by the time this race goes off, but I highly doubt it. She's looking for a 3rd straight win today. She's won her last 2 by a combined 12.5 lengths. 2 back, she did against condition claimers, stepped up to open company. Didn't have a problem with that either. She was another open length winner. She's going to sit just off the pace today. My concern is that My House Is So Game. Will she be able to get by that one in the stretch?
Well, you know, we have a new wager this year, and it starts in this first race, and that is the Pick 5, the 50-cent Pick 5. Mandatory payout. It's the first 5 races of the day, and I think you got to go a little deep in that first race there. You know, we have one horse together on that, and otherwise we're going different directions, and I think that's what happens in a race like that. It's a pretty wide open affair. Let's go to race number 2. We're going on the grass. The turf course is listed as firm this afternoon, and this one is 5 furlongs and allowance. 3-year-olds and up with non-winners of 1 other than. We do have a jockey change on the number 8, make the rider Ed Garzias. Scratch the main track only participant, number 9, and the 8 horse today ridden by Ed Zayas, because Eduardo Nunez is out of town, isn't he?
He is out of town, but you know what? We'll forgive him because he's riding Lady Shipman, one of our favorite turf sprinters, based here with local trainer Kathleen O'Connell, running in a big stake and an audition for the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland today.
Well, we want to go back and show you a horse that Katie has right on top of her ticket, this last performance, and this was at Saratoga.
It was at Saratoga, and it was a win, and I think that's pretty impressive. Has been competing against some pretty tough company up there. Everyone wants to win at Saratoga in the summer. Take a look at the 9, Tune In to Bow. This one opens up a clear lead in the stretch. Definitely not hard to miss. It's the gray on your screen. The closers are coming, as they did a lot in Saratoga.
Right.
It tended to favor closers, but this one going to hold on for a very game nose victory. It was a very tight finish, but he got the win there. Now, that was his maiden breaking victory against $40,000 maiden claiming competition. So it was still a pretty solid race, coming out of a tough one, tough competition, facing winners for the first time. But I really think he's starting to come into his own after a 14-month layoff.
Yeah, and running here in the Aubrey Mirage barn after that performance back on July 29th. Eddie Castro will be in the saddle this afternoon. I have that horse on my ticket. We got our exacta flip-flop. I did go with the number 6, Super Spender, and this one will try these entry-level allowance runners at 5/8 of a mile. Stalked the pace, got beat 3+ lengths. That wasn't a pair, but I thought really solid 5.5 furlong turf sprints up at Monmouth Park. First race back, I believe, here at Gulfstream Park West for Jane Sibeli. Matthew Rispoli. Boy, is he riding in great form. He won the last race with the 13 horse yesterday, and he won it along the rail. I don't know how he got there, but what a nice ride that was. Matthew Rispoli doing a great job. So I put Super Spender on top of my ticket. But number 3, Tune In to Bow, for all the reasons that you mentioned. Who else did you use on your ticket?
I used a Little Baltar. This one coming in off a 3-month layoff for trainer Carlo Vaccarezza. Hasn't run since contesting the Turf Sprint Stakes in early July. This is going to be obviously a bit of class relief from that. He was second, beaten only a nose in his lone start over this track. I like that angle, and each of his last 4 works have been bullets up at Palm Meadows.
Well, a little breathing angle on the number 1, More Applause. Bred on both sides of the family tree to handle the turf. He's a son of More Than Ready. Moves to the lawn. He showed tons of promise in his 4 sprint races across town. The trainers, Manny Estevez, Luca Panici atop this Swift Sophomore. He's going to be up there wing dinging, and I like the breeding on this. I like More Than Ready's on the turf, so I threw it on. I think he's 3rd choice on the morning line. Horse that you might want to think of putting in your first of 2 pick 4s of the afternoon, which starts in race number 2. We have so many great wagers here. Got to remember them all. So we have the new pick 5 in the first, and you can start right in the second race with our first of 2 pick 4s in the afternoon. Our third race is 6 furlongs. These are maiden special weight fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards, 6 runners in the field. I want to go back and show you a performance from number 1 horse in here, Amy's Image, a horse I did not use on my ticket, but Katie has it right on top.
I do have right on on top, and that's because, well, this horse has run here before, and look who she finished second to. This was the last time she ran at Gulfstream Park West. This was, of course, last year. There's a runaway winner, but guess who that is? That is Huasca. Huasca now a multiple stakes winner, multiple graded stakes place. Such a nice filly from the Efren Loza Jr. barn. This is Amy's Image, second that day to Huasca. She's coming off a 9-month layoff. Trainer Todd Pletcher. I think you have to go with this one in this race, working very well at Palm Beach Downs. But again, there is a question mark with the layoff, but Pletcher typically doesn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, doesn't have an issue with that. I've just been watching the way his horses have run thus far over here at Gulfstream and over here at Gulfstream Park West. And in my just estimation, I always want to give him one race, so did not put this one on the ticket. But now that I realize it ran second to Huasca, maybe I made a mistake in there. But I did go with the number 6 horse here. I really like, and that's Artie's Bourbon Girl. 2 for 2 in the money locally on this course. 2 starts, 1 second, 1 third. Makes the 3rd start of a current form cycle after that pair of second place finishes over crosstown at Gulfstream. The trainer is James Kirk, and he's got Hall of Fame jock Edgar Prado in the saddle today, and I just thought this was the one I was going to put on top of my ticket there, and I'm glad to see you used it on your ticket along with the number 2, Evelyn's Dream.
Ralph Nick's trainee going to shed the blinkers on the turn back today. I think it's a great move. She was eased last time out, but I just don't think she got a hold of the sloppy track that day. Just didn't play to her favor. She didn't get a hold of it. She's turned in 2 works since. They've both been very strong, and prior to that, she finished a very good second off a 10-month layoff, so I think getting back on a drier surface definitely going to help her today.
Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon, and we're back on the turf. The turf course is listed as firm. It's 1 mile, maiden claimer, 3-year-olds and up, $35,000. Scratch number 6, Caramello, and I went with the inside horse in here, number 1, Cantiflas, but you went with the horse I have in third, and that's Running on Guinness.
I thought this horse ran an excellent race last time out, and I think the scratch of Caramello really helps him because it's really going to allow him to dictate things on the front end. Last time out, took the lead at the 3/8 pole, just got caught in the final strides to lose by a length to a horse that was able to get through along the rail, covered far more ground than the winner that day. Again, I think this race is going to set up for him from a pace perspective.
Well, we got the same try, just boxed around a little differently, so I'll talk about the number 1 in here, and that's Cantinflas. This one beating the neck in his previous race on the Gulfstream Park West turf course. You notice I mentioned that a lot, and so does Katie in our analysis first week here, because you want to go back and see horses that have run well here in the past, so you can sort of get a gauge when they were all, landing here from being at either racetrack, other racetracks, or over at Gulfstream Park. This one stalked the pace, finished 3rd last time out at this level and distance. That was in its Gulfstream Park turf finale. Gustavo Amaya has Manny Aguilar handling the inside post this afternoon, so a little bit of a horse for course angle there with the number 1, Cantinflas, but I also have the number 7, as I said, Running on Guinness on my ticket. And what about the number 3, Dispersion?
This one's a little bit intriguing. Coming off an 11-month layoff, debuting for the Victor Barboza Jr. barn. It's his first start as a gelding as well. I think he should be happy to get back on the turf course. He was 7th in an off-turf event last November, but in his debut at Belmont, he was 4th, only beaten a length and a half, despite getting a very wide trip, and that was in maiden special weight competition.
Yeah, I put him on a ticket, and I just think he might be a right horse against this level of competition. But I'll tell you the one thing, he's a son of Arch. I really wasn't enamored with his morning work tab. It's not,
Yes.
it's consistent, but it's certainly not there. There's no jump out works that I see on the ticket over there. So a pretty wide open affair, and Running on Guinness might be the logical choice, but those 3 look like the 3 that you might want to use in race number 4. Race 5 this afternoon, 1 mile, 3-year-olds and upward, non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250. Jockey change on the number 1, make the rider Alex Gonzalez. And I want to mention to everybody, when you have a mile race here at Gulfstream Park West, it's around 2 turns. Over at Gulfstream Park, it's around 1 turn. It's almost like an elongated sprint. So a big difference. A lot of times when you see horses, you handicap for a mile, they ran well at Gulfstream Park. Doesn't mean exactly they're going to translate to 2-turn mile here at Gulfstream Park West. With that said, Katie and I both have the number 3, Some Midnight Star, on top of my ticket. Our ticket, I should say.
Our tickets.
There you go.
Midnight Luke Gelding going to make his first start off the claim today for trainer Charles Carey. This one has really had the tendency to get caught up in speed duels and tire late, but he's the lone speed in this spot, and I think he's going to come out with this one. He's strung together a series of very consistent races races at this level, searching for his elusive second victory today.
Yeah, and the horse that he finished second to untied and not came back to win again. He's actually in on Sunday, going for his third consecutive victory. So this one was sort of flatted off that performance. We both have the number 8 in second, and that is Whiskey Cures Ugly. Still can't believe they got that name by. Turning back to a mile after making that really impressive 5-wide move to defeat $10,000 maidens. Was an outside post that day, going a mile in the 16th. It's not the best post you want to be. Wasn't all the way out there. But, a good performance nonetheless. That was going, as I mentioned, a mile in the 16th across town. Roderick Rodriguez, Manny Aguilar to ride. Pedro Monterrey is going to go to some Midnight Star today.
You know what? If some Midnight Star decides that he's going to fade out again, I think Whiskey Cures Ugly, sitting just off the pace, is going to be the one to capitalize.
And who'd you use in third?
I used Creolis Boy from the Louis Duco barn, taking a class drop today and finds a more appropriate level of competition. Broke his maiden by 7 lengths against $10,000 maiden claimers in July. Stepped up, was a little too much. Better spot today.
Another little horse for course angle here with the number 2 just for fun. 3 for 3 in the money on this track. 3 starts, no wins, a second and 2/3. Hoping the change in scenery today will help spark the wake-up call. Pretty poor performance last time out behind some Midnight Star. Henry Colazzo, Edgar Zayas in the saddle. Maybe just a change in scenery on the track that it's performed very well on. We'll wake this horse up. Actually, second choice on the morning line. I don't know if I agree with that, but I certainly agree that this horse could be somewhere on the ticket. But we'll see if he can bounce back on what is on paper definitely his favorite, the racing surface. With that said, let's go back to the turf for race number 6. 1 mile claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life. We're going to scratch the 6 in here. The jockey on the number 8 is Josie Gomez, and his unpublished work on number 5, Planar, over at Gulfstream Park, right here at Gulfstream Park West, 3 furlongs and 39.60, and that was on October 8th. And we want to go back and show you a race from a wild card hit, a horse I did not use on my ticket, and when I saw that you wanted to show this replay, I said maybe I should have used it.
Well, I think that today this horse gets exactly what the doctor ordered. This last time out, this is from September 27th. At this particular level, wild card hit, don't even see on the screen right now, rallies from 11th, 10 lengths off the pace, finishes 5th here and comes on really well late. Gonna stretch out to a mile today, doubles the distance almost, and I think that this horse is just their running style really gonna take to this extra distance.
Well, with that said, we both have the 5 on top and Planar, and I'll tell you why. But the 1, I think you got to use somewhere on your ticket in there. And this race number 6 is where the final pick 5 of the afternoon starts. Planar was going to face these 2 lifetime competition after responding last time out to both a drop in competition and the surface switch with a much the best $12,500 maiden victory, going a mile in the 16th on the turf. But first dance against the winners, trainers Gustavo Delgado, Tyler Gaffleone, apprentice Tyler Gaffleone in there. And the reason I mentioned that, handicapped for Sunday today. And on Sunday, he is no longer an apprentice. If you notice that when you're handicapped and you'll say, hey, wait a minute, where'd that 5-pound apprentice allowance go? But that's on Sunday. So today, still a 5-pound apprentice. Who else did you use the 1 on your ticket? I went with the number 3, New York Jackie in second, beaten 3/4 of a length on the turf at this level. It was back on August 23rd. He's going back to the grass today. After finishing 3rd, that was a race move to a 1-turn mile on a sealed sloppy track. Just thought it was a logical contender in here, can maybe grab a share. But Katie, I know you have the number 10 on there, Buff Jet, but I wanted to mention this horse in here, and that is Boston Garden. You had the 1 horse who comes flying. Boston Garden, 62-1 last time out. I thought it was going to win. Went up there and set the pace. Just got beat at the wire. Finished 3rd, was beaten by a length and a half. This horse, turning back to a mile today, is going to be on the engine, maybe spring an upset in there. Now we'll talk about the 10, who's a logical choice in there, Buff Jet.
I think so. I think she's really going to rebound when getting back on the turf course. Last time out was not great over a sloppy main track, but she didn't hit the board in her previous 2 wet track starts either. 2 back in her first start at this level. She was 2nd, beaten only a half length. Finds an excellent spot today and should really wake up and say, no, yeah, that grass, I like that much better.
You like that much better, and I love the name of this horse, Buff Jet. Named probably after Joan Jett, who, if you ever see Joan Jett perform, she is in good shape, put it that way. She's got those guns. Race number 7 this afternoon. 6 furlong maiden claimers, 2-year-olds, $50,000. 7 runners in here, and we're going to go back and show you the horse that Katie has in top and I have in second. Evan from Heaven did not have a heavenly start.
No, that's a good way to put it. Completely gets squeezed and misses the break here. That's the 5 Evan from Heaven. You're going to see he spots the field several lengths in this start. He's going to end up finishing 4th, which isn't bad. He was claimed out of that debut by trainer Kathy Ritvo, gets blinkers added, receives Lasix for the first time, and I think he's going to be sitting a lot closer today. The runner-up from that race came back to break his maiden in his next start, so it's a bit of a key race, but you could also say the same thing about the 3, Brave Enrique.
Yeah, Brave Enrique is going to race with Lasix after that. A promising career debut at this level and distance. He tracked the pace in that race, but he was about 5 wide, and he apparently bled when finishing 6, beating 7 lengths to Oscar Gonzalez as the trainer. Edgar Prado atop. This is a $150,000 son of Majestic Warrior. Evan from Heaven getting a host of changes today. Barn, Lasix, your surface. So we'll see how they run today. Number 3 and number 4. We got those 2 flip-flop. And you used the number, who'd you use the third? The number 7 horse? And that is...
So you think you're Romeo.
Oh, baby.
Steve Dwalskin trains this one, also debuting with Lasix today and running for a claim for the first time. I liked him on the class drop. Chased the pace, faded to 7th last time out. But in his debut, I liked that race a little bit better. Maybe he can run back to that form. He was 4th behind a next out winner in Call to Honor, as well as the now stakes winning Golden Pirate.
You know, I used the number 6 horse in here, and that's Lion Chief, who shows 8 local workouts, which includes 5 bullet drills throughout that whole workout thing. 5 bullet drills in preparation for his career debut for trainer Alfred McIntosh. He's a gelded son of Montbrook, gets Lasix. Jockey Edgar Zayas for this assignment. Boy, if you go by the morning work tab, a horse you sort of have to have somewhere on your ticket. He's actually the morning line favorite, which I don't think that, well, I didn't know that, but got to have him somewhere on your ticket, I believe, off that workout pad.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. He's unproven. He'll have to prove something to me today, but he's definitely worth somewhere on the ticket, though I don't know if I would do so at that price.
Yeah, it's 5-2, but let's see how that race shapes up in there with that first time starter off the good workout pattern. Let's go back to the grass for race number 8, 5 furlongs. These are claimers 3 and up. Non-winners of 3 races in life or 3-year-olds, $8,000. Scratch the 7, Frankie's Trigger, the 10, Mr. 954, and number 12, Duncan Bend. And you have the number 11 on top of your ticket, who I have in second. I went with the 4. So tell us about the 11 first.
We've got our exacta flip-flopped in here, and both could easily win this race. I went with Guar Barrow. This one from the Juan Rodriguez barn. We've been talking about Golden Pirate, and he trains Golden Pirate. That was his first career stakes victory for Juan Rodriguez, so pretty exciting day for him last week. This one, Guar Barrow, overmatched in the Treasure Coast Stakes on September 19th, but prior to that, he was a 3 1/4 length winner over the horse that Ron has on top and I have in second, Athon, to win at the $10,000 level in August. I think he's going to really relish the class relief today, and we'll see if he can continue his winning ways over that 4.
The reason I put him in second is it was, in my estimation, he's out there in post 11. He's got speed, but I just wasn't sure that he can use that speed to get a good position in there, but certainly has to be on the ticket. Number 4, Athon, 3 starts, 1 win, 2 seconds at this distance on the turf. Goes back to the lawn today after dueling along the inside to come within that half length of defeating this caliber competition. That was last time, going 5 furlongs. Was a sealed, sloppy track. I think he's a major player in here today. And the only reason I went with him over the 11 was just on the post. Even though the 11 beat him once before.
Would you feel better about Guar Barrow if Matt Rispoli was riding after yesterday?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, how he got to the inside with that 13 horse in the last race. Still amazed by that. We closed it out with the 6, All About Divas, going back to the turf today after becoming the only 3-time winner in the field when he stalked early and held on pretty gamely to defeat $8,000 condition claimers. That was going 5 furlongs on the sealed, sloppy track. I always like that angle. He's done something that no one else in the race has done, and that's won 3 times.
Brady, 25% with horses making their second start off a layoff following a win. I only liked Athon better because I think he boasts a little bit better numbers on grass.
Well, let's go to race number 9 today. It's on the main track. 1 mile claimers, 3 and up. Non-winners of a race is since April 9th, or 6 months. We have a full field of 9 runners in here. I went with the number 8, Aries Pride on top. This one moved to the Peter Waldebon Vita Clay, makes its first start since finishing second. That was in a trio of condition claiming sprints across town. He's a gelded son of exclusive quality, and I think he spotted perfectly today against non-winners of a race in 6 months. I think the drop in competition will be key for number 8, Aries Pride in here. But I can understand having number 4, Garabato, on your ticket.
Another G horse right on top here, Garabato. This one, another very popular claim. He's starting for a 3rd trainer in as many starts. Last time out, stretched out to a mile for the first time in his career. Performed pretty admirably. Rallied from just off the pace, finished second to a repeat winner in Chillin' Dillon, a top horse at this level. He's consistently held his own in open company, and I think he as well finds an ideal spot today against condition claimers.
Well, here was my caveat with that. 14 races here at Gulfstream Park West. No wins. He's got 3 seconds and 7 thirds. So 14 races. I put him in second. I think he's got to be on the ticket. And what about the number 7 here, Penton 10 Praz? This one a 5-time local winner, 16 races here. This is the opposite of the other horse.
Yep.
He's had 16 races here with 5 wins, 2 seconds and 4 thirds. He's going to try this 2-turn mile today after finishing what I thought was a game second against 62.50 condition claimers, going a 1-turn mile across town. He's a horse for course play. I think he belongs on the ticket.
And you know what? He's really hitting his best stride. He returned from a long layoff, was off the board. Second start back, hasn't been off the board since. I think this is a horse that is on the rise, and like you said, loves this course that might wake him up even more.
Yep. Let's go to race number 10, the final race on Friday afternoon. 5 furlongs, maiden claimers, fillies, 2-year-olds, $35,000. Turf course is firm. Had a tough time deciding between the 1 and the 2 in here from Wesley Ward, so Wesley Ward made that decision for me. He scratched number 1, Amelia's Wild Kitty. Also scratched the number 4 horse in here, and I went with the number 2 after the scratch. I actually had the other one on top, Nazdrovia, as I mentioned, trained by Wesley Ward.
I was in the same situation as you, Ron. I loved the one Amelia's Wild Kitty, but it looks like Wesley Ward wants to run the 2 today. That's fine with me. This is a daughter of Trap Shot, who I'm really starting to like his runners on the grass. He's doing well as a turf sire. This one going to make her turf debut and run for a tag for the first time after finishing 7th in her career debut. The winner of that race, Ballet Diva, so not a bad race to come out of. And Ward has a pretty top call rider in this one, Tyler Gaffleone rides.
Yeah, Tyler Gaffleone rides, and that Ballet Diva went in its next on, I believe, won the Cassidy Stakes, and then went on to run, I think finished the 6th in the Florida Sire Stakes, but ran good next time. It's a nice horse.
And she won one leg of the Florida Sire
right.
Stakes. She only lost when she stretched out to a mile and a 16.
That's
She's
right.
definitely a sprinter. She won the 2nd leg, the My Dear Girl, or the Susan's Girl division of the Florida Sire Stakes.
Number 6, American Bride, is dropping a notch on the maiden scale after stalking the pace last time out, getting beat 3 3/4 lengths, almost 4 lengths, and a $50,000 maiden's going 5 furlongs. That was on the grass. The trainer is Bobby Prasad, and he's got Ramsey Zimmerman named to ride today.
I have to shake my head at this one, Ron, because this horse is 15-1, and I thought, oh, sneaky here, 15-1, and of course you have it in second as well. I can't get anything by you.
I just thought it figures against this level of competition, going to the main track.
She does.
Number 12, Starship Supergirl, is the horse I put in 3rd, and this one is a first-time starter, so daughter of Gone Astray. Once again, I like Gone Astrays that have been the way they run on the turf. Shows a steady morning work tab in preparation for the debut, but, the trainer is Diane Marici, and this horse has to deal with the outside post. So I'm not enamored with this horse winning. I mean, a first-time starter, you never know, but I like the fact that this one is on the ticket.
With the scratch of Amelia's Wild Kitty, I was between Starship Supergirl and the 5 Sassmaster. I ended up going with the more inside post with Sassmaster. This one, getting back on the turf today, 2 starts back, showed speed and faded. That was on September 3rd, and against maiden claimers at the $50,000 level. So dropping, also cutting back in distance. That was at 7.5 furlongs. With the class relief, back to turf, and the turn back, I think that should set her up really well for a better effort.
Well, that's how Katie and I see the action today, Friday at Gulfstream Park West at the Fall Turf Festival, and we're about to turn it over to our track announcer, Pete Aiello, who's going to update you on all the scratches and changes you need to have a winning day at Gulfstream Park West. What do you think?
Enjoy.